Caralee Gurney with North Texas Networkers, and welcome to our show about networking people across the DFW area and connecting interesting people along the way. With me today, we have a special co-host guest because Stacy's out today. So I have Erin Karen with me, someone I have known for close to 20 years, I'm pretty sure. Our husbands know each other. Gosh, how long ago has it been?
I was actually trying to do the numbers in my head. I think it's more than 20, so I think it's 25.
Okay, so
Our
for a
kids are
very
the same
long
age.
time, we used to travel together. Oh my gosh, it was some fun times, a little river rafting.
Very
Trying
much
to
so.
remember some other
It
spa.
was, yeah, I think the spa stands out for me.
I think so too. But anyway, I'm so glad to have Erin here. She actually is owner with her mother of Dusty Gold Real Estate, not real estate,
Dusty Sales.
Dusty Gold Estate Sales. And we're happy to have her here. She actually does estate sales for multi-million-dollar homes and onward, upward and downward.
Fun fact,
Every range.
everything I have on my body, with the exception of my 2 rings, came from the estate sale.
Okay, that's right.
Very true story.
Well, great. So we're glad to have her here, but we're also really super excited to announce our guest. Today we have a special person. He is the founder of TopAchievers, if you've ever heard of that, a young men's mentoring program, among many other things. Maybe you've heard of Mann with the Plano school system, or maybe you've heard about Young Women Incorporated. This is our guy, and he's got a special story to tell today. Welcome, Lawrence Mann.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing out there? It's a pleasure being here today with you guys.
Well, we are
Thank you
so
very
glad
much.
to have you.
I'm so honored to
Good.
be here. Yes.
Good. Well, just to get the day started, just tell us a little bit about your family and where you're from.
Family. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. I tell folks in the hood, and I tell folks that my wife and I was destined to meet because she's from Honduras.
Really?
And when folks says, you know, how did you guys meet? I'm like, you know, we were destined because she's from the jungle and I'm from the ghetto.
I love it.
But again, been married for 32 years, and to Ana Margarita Martinez, Mann, we have 3 boys, lovely boys, and now they're all married with their families. So we're so blessed. But Detroit, Michigan was a great experience living and being raised in the inner city. Learned so many valuable skills about life, and not just life, but surviving, learning how to make quick decisions the right way. But we were from a large family with 7 of us total. I am the oldest boy, so it's 4 boys and 3 girls.
Oh, the oldest.
And yes, and Dad taught me leadership skills early on. Anytime my siblings got in trouble, I was the one that was responsible for them. So,
Funny. So
I
did
learned
you
how to
take their
be-
food first, or did you did you let them go ahead of you?
Well, you know what? I think I took mine first because in my household, the eldest was the first.
Yeah.
It's totally flipped now. You know, now the kids in my family, it's whatever's out there, first man, first come, first serve.
Teach you some life skills.
Yes, yes, yes. But Detroit was a great experience, and the things that I've learned being raised in the inner city really were great transferable skills for me in life. So again, I'm just glad to be here in Texas and starting a new family as a new tree. We're spreading great seeds all across the globe. So I'm grateful to be here.
Good.
That's incredible. Well, how did you end up maneuvering into a mentoring position?
Yes, at an early age, I was sharing with you guys earlier that my first mentoring session was at a camp in Michigan. And the Camp of the Woods in Michigan was a unique place. And when I started thinking how I got there, it was something that I told my dad I didn't want to do any more hard labor work because at age 8, he bought me a wheelbarrow and Brogane boots for Christmas. And you know what that meant?
Child's Christmas
Work.
dream.
That means work.
That means work.
But again, that was a great valuable skill because I would take that wheelbarrow during the winter months and shovel snow and make money. I would get up at 6 in the morning and we would shovel snow till 7 at night. But
Great
again,
skills.
it was a great skill for us to make things happen in life. And then during the spring, we would haul dirt and concrete, and I learned how to use those tools to make money. But at age 16, 17, I told Dad, I'm not going to do this hard labor anymore, Dad. I want to do something a little different this summer. And I went scouring around the community looking for opportunities to work. And I saw this big cathedral, like a Catholic cathedral church in Michigan. And I walked into it, and someone said, "May I help you?" And I said, "Yes, I'm looking for any kind of job you have for me." And they said, "Well, we have some openings in a camp." I'm like, "Camp? What kind of camp?" Because I've never been camping before. So that was foreign language. You say, "Well, we have a kids camp up north of Michigan, and we're looking for counselors." And so I said, I'll take that position. They said, "Well, you have to be there for 3 months." I'm like, "That's good."
And how old were you at this point?
I was about 16, 17 years of age. And so my first mentor at the camp was a kid that came running to me and crying, and he was part of my little cabin. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And he said, "Well, they're talking about my grandfather. The kids are talking about my grandfather." I'm like, "Well, who's your grandfather?" I said, "Well, first, why are they talking about him? They're saying things that, he's buried under Giant Stadium and they don't know where he's at." I'm like, "Well, who's your grandfather?"
Yeah. How many grandfathers are buried
Right.
in Giant
And my camper's name was Jeff Hoffa. And he says, "My grandfather's Jimmy Hoffa."
Gosh, that's
Wow.
so
And I'm like, and again, I knew Pookie and those guys from the neighborhood. I didn't know Jimmy Hoffa. That was a league out of my But again, I remember help inspiring him and calming him down.
And how old was he at that point?
Jeff was in the 4th grade.
Okay.
I remember very vividly because we would talk about earth science and he knew what kind of engine the Saab car would have. I'm like, "Dude, where you get this education from?" He was a smart individual kid. And I think the thing that I liked about our relationship is that he came to me in a time where he was distressed. He felt like I was the only one that can soothe him and help inspire him to do other things. So that was my first experience mentoring a kid, was Jeff
That's
Hoffa.
amazing.
Yes.
And you don't just mentor young men, you also mentor young women. And
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that project.
Yes, well, I wear 2 hats. One is Plano ISD. I'm a at-risk specialist for Plano administration. And then I have my foundation, which is TopAchievers. So when I was asked through Doug Otto, he was the superintendent at the time, to work with Plano ISD students, I was good working with boys. I know boys. I raised 3 boys. I know the rod of correction worked. When they were defiant, right? And as you know, in the school, every opportunity you give to the boys, you have to give the girls the same opportunities. So I'm like, man, I don't know how to work with girls. I have sisters, but they were drama kings and queens, rather, and I didn't want to deal with the girls because of my sister's experience. But I went out to the community and I found other women groups that were focused on young women, and I said, I need some help. And so we started the Young Women Incorporated group, and that's still going today. And some of my partners with that group is the Links organization.
Well, I have a special video today that I found.
Okay.
That I wanted to play as a little testimonial from a sweet little girl.
Oh,
so,
that's great.
Travis, do you
Okay.
mind playing that real quick?
Yes. Do you feel that by having Mrs. Axman working with you, you feel that it's helping you?
Yes.
How so?
So it's helping me because I really need to learn, and she helps me learn whenever I'm kind of stressed out, and I don't really want to show my stressed out face. She just helps me and calms me down.
All right, good. So let's give Mrs. Axman a great big hand for helping you out. All right, well, that's the today's, day segment of our Top Achievers mentoring session. Thank you very much, Gigi. And what grade are you in?
I'm in 1st grade.
1st grade, and what school do you attend?
I go to Sadling Elementary School.
All right, great. Well, look at the camera and says, bye-bye.
Bye.
That's amazing. What was that little girl's name?
Her name was Genevieve.
Genevieve.
Yes, known as Gigi.
That's much
it's
easier.
cute. Yes, that is much easier. Oh, that's amazing. What would you say, though, in your opinion, is the single most important thing that you would say to our youth? Would say to a young person that you are mentoring?
Yes, and I shared with you, I was born and raised in Detroit, and Detroit was a rough area. I mean, you had to be strong to survive. And I remember my mom asking me this question when I was young. She said, "Son, you want to live a long time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I do." Because she knew there was drugs and it was drugs, a lot of danger, a lot of crime in the city. Yeah, a lot of challenges. And she says, "Well, I'm going to share something with you, and if you believe this, you're going to be okay." So she opened up the Bible to Ephesians 6:1. "Children, obey your parent in the Lord, and you will live a long time." I'm paraphrasing that, but
Right.
I'm like, "Is that it, Mom?
That's
Is that
what you're
all?
gonna show me today?
That's it?" I'm like, "Is that simple?" And so I'm like,
pretty
"That's a
simple.
good deal." And so I obeyed my mom. And I tell every kid, obey your parents. Obey your parents, and you're going to be fine. And I'm telling you, because of that, I've done some amazing things in life. And I'm just telling you, that's what I credit
I will tell you,
my life to.
I've heard you speak because my son was in Young Men's Service League. And
Yes.
you came and spoke to that group of, I think they were juniors at the time, juniors
Yes.
and seniors. And you know, your story and your heart, it's obvious that your parents instilled something in you that has made you special.
Oh, thank you.
And even from your dad giving you a wheelbarrow and your first pair of boots, I mean, that led you to the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, it was so, I started thinking about and reflecting on my life, and I always call it, the AED. When kids say, "Well, what am I supposed to do, Mr. Man in life? I have no direction." I say, remember AED, assessment, exposure, and direction. Always assess your talent. Assess where you're at, in the community, where you're at in school, where you're at home. When I assess, if I tell a kid to assess their home life, are you connected to your parents? Why not? Here's some things and ways you can connect with your parents. You have to be intentional about that. If you're playing a sport, you say you're good at this sport, well, are you better than the person next to you? Are you better than the kid down the street? You have to always do this assessment on yourself. Are you happy? Are you sad? Why? Once you start looking at yourself and you assess your talents, you need to get exposure in those areas that you maybe find yourself weak at. And how do you get exposure? By going out, just like I left Detroit, coming to Dallas. That was exposure. I'm like, wow. When I went to the camp of the woods up in Michigan, that was exposure for me. And so from the assessment, exposure, then you will find a direction and a path that you want to go.
Well, I would say too, a lot of those, you're talking about obeying your parents. I would imagine a lot of the kids that come to you from broken homes.
Oh, yes, yes. And I thought, years ago, it was economically disadvantaged homes. It's not the case anymore.
Wow.
Living in Plano, I see it every day. All walks of life, rich, poor, different cultures. I mean, broken homes are a big thing now. When I look at even the world, look at just Dallas-Fort Worth, over 60% of marriages end in divorce. And so now you have those single parents. And kids get confused. They'll go stay with their mom one weekend and come back with the dad, and there's mixed messages. So we have to navigate and find recipe of success through those things as well. And so what I do is tell the kids to focus on themselves, focus on their talents, look at those gifts that God's given you, and let's go out there and get some exposure so you'll have a direction where to go. And you can find those gifts through science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And I call it
STEAM, right?
That's right, STEAM. There you go.
I was listening.
And then athletic participation. You can find talents in those areas. So, yeah, that's very, very important for us.
I think it's also good for kids just to be active. So anything that keeps them active and in groups is probably good for them. Also, now Governor Perry appointed you to 2 state boards.
Yes, one was, and it was something totally off the charts. A polygraph examiners board. I had no experience in that, but again, they were looking for people like me in the in the community that wanted to make a difference and were trendsetters. And so you don't know why you're chosen going through those processes. But again, it was exposure to government and to to see how different boards are structured and how they're governed and the people on those boards. I came back with a different insight on how things, how kids should start preparing themselves to be decision makers in life. And I teach that in my studies or in my mentorship, to get involved starting with the student council, get involved with your church committee, get involved with the young men service leagues.
Expose you to.
You have to get exposure. And through that, I was able to help folks or people that were in the industry of polygraph examiners that they weren't getting awards to these government contracts. And I think I helped make a big difference to getting them opportunities, because we took down some walls that were on the board that were kind of structured and kind of a system where the average person couldn't penetrate through. But I think we helped
to help them
navigate that. Yes.
What have been some of your, I guess if you just think about what's been one of your biggest challenges? And you've been doing this a long time, so I'm giving you lots of years to choose from.
Yes. I think, and I like to start where we're at today, because, history is great, but history is his story. And my story for those last 20 years have changed, the narratives have changed. Now we're looking at 2020 and 2021, and we see that this world is it's a different world than we lived in just 2 years ago. And when it comes to education, it comes to mentoring, I had to pivot this September to say, okay, let's assess top achievers where it's at right now. It's been very much focused on the sports and self-esteem and building relationships, but now I have to be more intentional about helping our students, because they're the ones that are suffering. 50% of the kids across the globe were struggling with this online learning and mobile learning because of the pandemic. And with that being said, I started a robust program, a robust mentoring program, where we had to hire directors in each cluster of our community to go and find mentors to help kids with one-on-one learning.
Wow.
And
challenging.
Yes, because if you have the money, you can get it done.
Yeah.
What about the kids that don't have the resources? And we're talking about achievement gaps right here. Now, the achievement gap this year is going to widen without the support. And so I went out to scour around the community for young students at UT Dallas. And I tapped into the neuroscience department. And these were students of African American, Hispanic student that were going to be neuroscientists. And I said, look, I need you. And they go, look, we need you too. We got to have community service hours. I said, I need mentors.
Perfect pairing. Yeah.
Perfect there. So I have partnered with some of the clubs to work with our kids that were struggling with one-on-one learning. And I have several cases right now of kids that were failing in September with 60s are now passing with 80s and 90s. And this is because of the one-on-one learning. So our mentoring program is really changing the narrative of how I'm helping our kids in today's world. And the thing that we need in the challenging piece, that's your question, is I pay my directors to go out to get more mentors, and we want more directors. So the challenge now is resources and funding to help get more directors.
Do you do that virtual too? Can you,
Yes.
so you're mentoring virtually?
Yes,
That's
virtually.
Esports, right?
Yeah, well, we do the esports. Esports, we were, Microsoft gave us the space to do our esports program last year. We were going.
So esports is
electronic video gaming, and that's a little different. The
really
esports
gonna
were.
change.
See, that's your son.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really going to change.
Here's
the
your
life
director
of
right here.
sports.
Her son.
Yes. So we partner with UNT Dallas, okay, on the esports program. And we
They have
also
a big esports
yes,
program.
they have a big esports. And Bob Mong, a good friend of mine, plus he's the president, asked me to meet with their esports program, and now we're getting more kids down that line because they have scholarships available for kids.
So you mentor them as well in that.
Yes, we mentor. And again, it's not just me. I have other partners that are pretty decent in this area that we're working with.
Does that allow you, I mean, I would think that now you're doing esports, that it allows you to reach more kids than just in your community.
Yes, I think with the esports program, it allowed me to reach that kid that was not connected into the mainstream way of sports.
Well, and you were saying earlier that it is important to be connected to something, so I can see how that esports would really help kids.
And it's a growing industry. It's like $123 billion a year
Well,
industry.
now that they're all stuck at home.
Right, right. But, you know, things like the esports, we have, I have mentoring sessions on the first Sunday of each month. And this mentoring session, I call it the Sunday session round table discussion.
Can anybody log on and look at that?
Anyone can. You can get on that by going to, you can text me, and I'll give you an invite at 214-924-0644.
Wow.
Now he gives us
That's
that
what I was
number out.
like,
I
wow.
love this.
That's amazing.
And last week we had the the former CEO of Dallas Mavericks on that call working with the kids about setting goals. We had the former Prime Minister of Trinidad Tobago's son, who's now the Minister of Finance, on that call with the kids, talking to them about setting goals and how he set goals for his country.
So can any kid log on and listen to
Any
that?
kid can log on, yes.
Wow,
I have a
that's
form that they fill out. They text me,
Yes.
I'll send them the form. And so we have, I had Andrew Jones on
that.
there. Andrew Jones is now playing for the University of Texas, and he was one of our top achiever kids who was on the path to go to the NBA the first year after going to school. And then he, in the middle of the season, he was diagnosed with leukemia.
That's an incredible story.
Yes, and so he's on that call every week because I'm connecting him, and I've been a mentor for him for several years.
So
we
does he mentor kids?
Yes.
Didn't he end up going back and playing this year?
He went
See,
back.
That story's incredible.
That's right.
Look,
You
it's your
should
sports
tell the
knowledge.
story.
That's right. Well, the kid, man, I'm telling you what, we got him when he was third grade. And his sister, who's in the WNBA, when she was seventh grade, she was like a little prodigy child. And they lived in, I think it was Midland area. They were coming up to Dallas, moving to Dallas to be closer to the Metroplex. And they got into an accident. And Dad was paralyzed from waist down. And so they found out where Top Achievers were. They called me up. He said, Mr. Mann, take care of my son. And because this is what's going on in my life. And so we sponsored him. And to see Andrew today, I just like.
That's got to be a shining star.
Yes,
in there.
it's
That's
a
amazing.
shining star. But, you know, when people ask me, how did I start Top Achievers? When my oldest son was 5 years old, he had an open heart surgery. And the doctor said he wasn't going to make it. And every day, my wife and I would leave the ICU unit, go into his room, and we can see the tubes in his chest, and his nose, his throat. And I remember my mom, you know, she had some great one-liners. She said, son, she said, if you ever want to get God's attention on something, make a vow to him, but don't break it. And I said, God, here's my vow. If you save my son, I'm going to dedicate my life to kids and health and fitness. And a week later, they took all the tubes out. They said, once we take everything out, it's a 50-50 chance he'll come and be on his own. And he's here today.
Well, you've made good on your vow.
Yes, and
There
I'm
you
still
go.
working with kids today, and I'm still helping them.
Yeah.
And I am not deviating from that because that's my vow, and that's why I do what I do. And that's the mission behind Top Achievers.
Love that. And how long have you been doing this? That started in
We started
16.
it 30, I guess close to 30 years now. I guess that's 1996 is when we incorporated Top Achievers.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And we're still going strong. We used to have a big building. Now we're doing things virtually. We're renting facilities. We used to run the basketball program, but the program is still going strong.
And how do
Right.
kids get in that?
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. Deb.
Yeah, so how do kids get in there?
Text you?
Through our website.
Okay.
We have
Oh,
our
that's
website, topachieversplano.org, topachieversplano.org, or you can text me at 214 214-924-0644.
Love that he gives
So
his cell number
I do
out.
want to ask you this. Let's take back the hands of time and say nothing had happened serious to your son like it did, and you were just a normal dad. If you had chosen to do something different, what would it be?
And I thought about
Like
this
that
question heavily. I think because I even got my real estate, I would have been a realtor or
Really?
broker. I got my real estate license just because I just wanted to do it. I just never did anything with it. I got my Texas.
So you
real
are
We've
estate-
got room on our
well,
team.
it has lapsed. That was like age 20. But I wanted to be a realtor, and I do have a passion for, and I still do this now, photography.
Really?
And
I do
art.
too.
Yes, so I do a lot of, my kids still today, I have kids, I have clients call me up, Mr. Mann, can you take my pictures? Can you do this for I'm doing some real estate pictures. I'm doing senior pictures for kids that can't afford senior pictures. I do a whole package for them.
So you are a
today.
photographer.
I am a photographer, yes. But I do it part-time because I'm busy with everything else, but I love the camera, and the kids that can't afford, images of themselves. We take a lot of beauty shots, make them feel empowered, and kids like, this is me, Coach. I'm like, yes, that's you.
What a good story.
So I use it to really empower kids.
Well,
that
you
we
wear a
work
lot
with.
of different hats.
Yes.
Sounds like.
But it's fun.
yeah.
It's
So
fun.
what's next? Are you doing something different? Anything
You know what?
on the road ahead?
This mentoring piece is just it's right now. It's my fixed focus this year because I want to get measurable outcomes from September till this full year of COVID. How our mentoring program has affected the community in a positive way. So that's my fixed focus. And then we'll probably get back into the esports. Right now, I'm just trying to get these kids passing and doing well in school because that's the main
Just
thing.
to not lose any.
Yes.
You want to ask the last question?
Yeah.
It's my favorite question.
So what question did we not ask you today?
Well, again, I think you guys did a fabulous job, and I really appreciate you being a part
I'm
of
so
it.
glad that we got to have Aaron on
yes.
with you. This was fun.
Yeah.
And and I find it fascinating. People want to hear again my story, because history is nothing but his story.
You have a fascinating story.
Yeah, and I just look and say, wow, a brother from the hood. Didn't know where he was going in life. How did I get here? So when I'm on camera and I'm talking to people and inspiring folks, I understand that I'm doing my divine purpose in life, and that's helping to inspire others, and that's what I'm happy to do.
You should be very proud of yourself.
Yes.
Incredible.
have
Thank
incredible
you.
Well, thank you guys. Very
Thank you
honored
so
to
much
be here.
for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story with us.
Yes.
And I know it will touch the lives of others as you've been doing since you were very young.
Yes.
Since
Amazing.
8.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'm Caralee Gurney. We're so glad to have you here today and joining us. And also, I want to give a shout out to our awesome lender, Craig Schrank with Willow Bend Mortgage, who is a sponsor of our show. And I'm so glad to have Aaron Karen
thank you.
and Lawrence Mann both here today. We did miss Stacy. Sorry, Stacy. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us on North Texas Networkers, and we'll see you next month with Kim Yancey. We get to have him back, and you're going to love what he has to say. So we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers. Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group DFW.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.